Be ready. 5 seconds. Start. Mr. Chairman, I think the Honorable Minister would have done well if he had explained to the House the changes made by the Joint Select Committee in the bill. I think it is the duty of the minister when important changes are made to come and explain what is the real significance and import of those changes. Anyway, coming to the bill proper, though some important changes are made in many respects, I think that it needs to be improved. If the social objective of this bill is taken into consideration, the government has not done well in not incorporating the social objective that had been set forth by Parliament in practice and bringing it into reality in this particular bill. Sir, it is very necessary for us to profit from the experience of highly industrialized and advanced countries. At the same time, we cannot copy the methods that were evolved by those countries. We cannot copy the principles that were evolved in an entirely different context and transplant them here. Trademark is a type of industrial property. The ownership of trademark has developed entirely in a different context in England, in America, in Australia and other countries. When the capitalist economy was thought to be sacrosanct, when it was considered that nothing can be done against the ownership of a particular property, these principles were evolved. Here, when we have set before us the social objective of establishing a socialist pattern of society, when we have decided to have, besides a heavy industries sector, a cottage industries sector, and a small industries sector, it is perfectly obvious that we cannot transplant those principles and ideas without the necessary modifications. If we look at the bill, it will be perfectly obvious that though the Joint Select Committee has amended it to some extent, as far as this important aspect is concerned, it has ignored the fundamental or the basic objective. Let me illustrate my point. Here, as I have just now informed the House, our social objective is to establish a socialist pattern of society. But we also envisage a heavy industries sector, a cottage industries sector, and also a small industries sector. Accordingly, we visualize production to take place not only in the big mills owned either by the state or by the big capitalist, but also in cottage industries and small scale industries. Many attempts were made on behalf of the local industrialists to manufacture matches, but they cannot withstand the competition. One of the weapons in the hands of those big monopoly companies is to use the trademark to browbeat these manufacturers and harass them. This is not the only measure to curb these big monopolists and these foreign monopolists. We should see that this particular trademark does not become a weapon in the hands of those big monopolists to browbeat the small industrialist. Sir, that devoted follower of Gandhiji and the present member of the All India Khadi and Village Industries Board, Shri Satish Das Gupta, has brought out in his brochure, which I think was circulated to all the members of parliament, as to how these big monopolists and endangering the very existence of small industries, and that too especially of the handmade and cottage industries. So, when it comes to that, no specific effort has been made by the government to see that this particular branch of industry and the products produced by that industry are given due protection. When we brought it to the notice of the ministry that in order to protect these products of the cottage industries and the small scale industries, some specific provisions should be introduced in the respect of zonal registration, our request was refused. It has been argued that since the provision has already been made for the limitation of this trademark to a particular territory, no necessity exists for this zonal registration. But if we examine this thing, sir, we can perfectly understand that the registrar has got the power to limit the jurisdiction of a particular registration to a particular territory. By that, the small manufacturer does not derive any benefit. So, we suggested that some scheme for registering these small scale products should be evolved, and it should be called zonal registration. There are many manufacturers who produce for the local area and whose produce is consumed locally. These are many varieties of bidis. There are many varieties of foodstuffs which are locally manufactured and which are also locally consumed. These people are mainly interested in seeing that their trademark is registered and limited to a particular extent. So, producers are not interested in an all India circulation or an all India market, but they are mostly interested in their local consumption. Some provision must be made for some people to register their trademarks, limiting their jurisdiction to their particular zones. Then, sir, coming to the question of jurisdiction, it has been stated that the jurisdiction should not be extended to the high courts.